Hotter and colder. As our planet warms, the number of hot summer days increases. This means more heat waves, droughts, and wildfires. Global warming also means more rain and more snow in the winter. As the polar ice caps melt, there are larger areas of open ocean. When that ocean water evaporates into the atmosphere, it can eventually turn into rain or snow. Many meteorologists believe that this is why recent winters have been snowier, despite the Earth becoming warmer. What can we do? As Earth weather becomes more extreme, it's important to know what weather to expect in your area and prepare for it. It is also important to learn all you can about global warming and how it is changing our climate. Global warming is caused, at least in part, by human activities. If we change those activities and work together, we may be able to save our planet from even more extreme weather. Timeline of extreme weather: 1888. A hailstorm in India results in the death of 246 people. March 18th, 1925. A massive tornado causes destruction in portions of Missouri, Illinois, and Indiana. August 2005. Hurricane Katrina becomes one of the deadliest hurricanes in US history. October 2013. Lightning kills more than 30 people in India during a weekend of storms. January 2014. Temperatures plummet in parts of the United States when the northern polar vortex breaks up. Wild, wintry weather. If you've built a snowman, sledded down a hill, or thrown some snowballs with your friends, you know that winter can be fun and exciting. But cold weather can also be dangerous for your health. Heavy snow, strong winds, blizzard conditions, ice, and extremely cold temperatures are some of winter's dangers. This is especially true if you are not prepared for the weather. The 1888 storm is partly responsible for New York City's decision to build an underground subway system. The Great White Hurricane. In March 1888, a surprise storm blanketed the northeastern coast of the United States with snow. It blocked roads and train services and shut down telephone and telegraph lines. High winds pushed the snow into drifts as high as 50 feet. In these days, before accurate weather forecasting, people were unprepared for the storm's severity. More than 400 people died, 200 of them in New York City. The storm of the century. More than 100 years later, in March 1993, another gigantic winter storm slammed into the East Coast. It dumped snow on a larger area than any other storm in recorded history. Nearly half of the U.S. population was affected. Snow fell from Canada down to Florida. The storm resulted in 310 deaths and between 6 billion and 10 million in damage. Unlike many winter storms, this one had winds as strong as a hurricane's. A New York City resident digs her car out of the snow during the winter of 1993. Polar vortex. Vortex. Poised above each of Earth's poles is a polar vortex. These cyclones, high in the atmosphere, contain very cold air. Air currents crossing North America and Eurasia sometimes break up the North Pole vortex. This can push brutally cold air south. When this happened in March of 2013, temperatures in parts of Europe were more than 18 degrees Fahrenheit, below average. The following January, a weakened polar vortex sent North American temperatures plummeting to about 35 degrees Fahrenheit below average. Icicles form along Lake Michigan Beach in Chicago, Illinois, during frigid temperatures related to the polar vortex in 2014. Severe winds cause an average of 51 deaths each year. Wind chill. The wind chill factor combines air temperature with wind speed to predict how cold it feels outside. As wind speed increases, it takes heat away from your body. This makes you feel colder. If the outside air temperature is 15 degrees and there is no wind, you will feel as though it is just that temperature. But if the wind picks up to 20 miles per hour, it will feel like -2 degrees. Winter storm dangers. Heavy snow and ice can cause trees to fall and buildings to collapse. If power lines come down, homes can be without heat or electricity for days. When people go outside during or after a winter storm without proper clothing, they risk frostbite or hypothermia. Icy streets can result in car accidents or injuries from falls. Even clearing snow away is dangerous. Many people die of heart attacks brought on by the hard work of shoveling snow. Chapter 2: Windy and Wet. Whether you call it a typhoon, a cyclone, or a hurricane, you're talking about the same thing: a swirling tropical storm that forms over the ocean. When it makes landfall, a hurricane can wreak havoc. It carries high winds and heavy rain, and creates huge waves that cause coastal flooding. A hurricane is longer lasting and much larger than a tornado. After forming in the open ocean, most hurricanes become stronger as they move slowly toward land. How hurricanes form. The recipe for a hurricane is simple: warm water, moist air, and wind. Hurricanes typically form near the equator, where the ocean is warmest. The water heats the air above, the air rises, and cooler air rushes to replace it. Then it warms and rises. Winds push the air around and the storm grows. A hurricane is like an engine fueled by warm, moist air. It can grow as long as it is over warm water. Hurricanes north of the equator spin counterclockwise. Those to the south spin clockwise. Clouds spin around the eye of a hurricane, which formed in the Atlantic Ocean in 2007. A giant storm. At the hurricane's center is the eye. The air there is calm and clear. Outside the eye, wind speeds may reach more than 150 miles per hour. Hurricanes can grow to be hundreds of miles across. In 1999, a giant hurricane named Floyd hit the eastern United States. Floyd's effects were felt from the Bahamas all the way to New England. Hurricane Sandy caused a section of Boardwalk Amusement Park in Seaside Heights, New Jersey to wash away. Heavy rain and storm surge. Hurricane clouds can dump many inches of rain in less than a day. What's more, the spiraling winds gather ocean water into a large mound at the center of the storm. This mound is called the storm surge. When the hurricane reaches land, the storm surge is pushed onto the coastline. A storm surge can flood low-lying coastal areas. In 2012, Hurricane Sandy brought a 32-foot storm surge that roared into the New York harbor. Death of a hurricane. When a hurricane reaches land, it's usually bad news for people living along the coastline, but it is also the beginning of the end of the storm. Hurricanes need a constant supply of warm, wet air to survive. When they reach land or colder ocean water, they stop growing. And when a hurricane force winds encounter land formations, such as hills and mountains, they slow down. Soon, the hurricane dies out. People experience high winds as Hurricane Sandy approaches the Massachusetts coast. Extreme weather and global warming. Climate change affects weather and ecosystems everywhere, from Australian rainforests to the Alaskan mountain ranges. Scientists have recently noticed more instances of extreme weather. They are predicting that in years to come, weather will become even more extreme. The cause? Global warming, which is the gradual warming of our planet. Because of global warming, ocean temperatures have increased by more than 1 degree over the last century. So hurricanes, fueled by warm, moist ocean air, have become stronger and last longer. Earth's average temperature rose 1.1 degrees in the 20th century. Rising sea levels put coastal areas at risk of being permanently under the ocean. Rising sea levels. Another consequence of global warming is higher sea levels. When water heats up, it expands. This causes ocean levels to rise. Warmer air temperatures also causing polar ice caps to melt, which makes sea levels rise even higher. This is especially bad news for people living in coastal areas. Higher sea levels make these low-lying areas more prone to flooding by hurricanes, intense rain, and storm surges. Thunderstorms and tornadoes. As Earth's atmosphere becomes hotter, it becomes moister and more unstable. These are the perfect conditions for thunderstorms to develop. Scientists predict that the severity of thunderstorms over the eastern United States will increase dramatically by the end of the century. Although tornadoes and hail come from thunderstorms, no one knows whether increasing thunderstorm activity will mean more tornadoes and hail as well. People struggle to cross a street flooded by severe rainstorm. Hotter and colder.